The digital world moves fast, but real growth comes from real conversations. This is e-Coffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to your show, E-Coffee with Experts. This is your host, Ranmay here. And today we have Dave Benton, who is the founder and CEO of MetaJive with us. Hey, Dave, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you, Ranmay?
I'm good. Yeah, I can't really complain. Great, yeah, Dave. Let's take this forward, Why don't you talk us through your journey a bit? How did you land up in the digital marketing niche, in the agency space, right? And how were you growing up as a child? And also a bit about MetaJive, what you guys do, what you guys specialize in, and we'll take it off from there.
All right, there's a lot of questions in there. So I would tell you, as a child, I was adventurous. I was wild, just like rampant kid running around the neighborhood with water balloons and sticks and causing trouble and skateboarding, and mediocre student, and graduated, went to college, all that, but like school was not the number one priority, neither was sports, and I was just like living and riding bikes and skateboards and girls eventually and all that sort of fun stuff. Then after college, I filmed snowboarding for a couple of years as a profession. And then to really support myself while I was filming snowboarding, I had picked up some web design skills, and I picked up a side client that really helped me pay my bills. As I was doing that, that side client turned into a kind of regular retainer, doing some work, getting some things done. And then as we pushed and moved on from there, when I turned 25, I call it my quarter life crisis. I was like, okay, I've got to move back to San Francisco, moved into the city and find a job. This is a few years after the dot bomb went off. So it was really rebuilding for digital, and I was real excited about it. I was a Flash developer at the time, which was a lot of design, a lot of dev, and a lot of like, can this be done? And there was something new being done every single day at that time. And it was a pretty tight-knit community, and it was moving so fast. So it was really an incredible time to be a part of that. And that's how we get to MetaJive very slowly between 2000, 2005, 2008. It went from kind of being me to having our first team members, our first partners in 2006. I partnered with someone who turned out to be my main development partner for 15 years. Really, really incredible partner in that story. And then we just kept going and going and going. And one contract turned into a second contract, turned into a third, needing one person to help, to two people to help, to someone to manage. And it's just been I would say it's a really gradual process, but it's been incredible peaks and valleys, like any entrepreneurial journey.
Lovely, lovely. And there was a point wherein, you considered shutting MetaJive down, especially during the decline of Flash in 2007. I mean, talk us through this, period of your entrepreneurial journey and how did you go through it?
Yeah, so I think there's been 2 or 3 times when I really considered shutting it down. And I think in some of the first ones, it was easy to say I never intended it to be an agency, so it's fine to go on and do something else. And after I made the decision to not shut it down and continue moving, you couldn't say that anymore. And you said, okay, now it's been a challenge. Now it's been a commitment. Now I'm hoping to, and that's probably been a great experience for me in hindsight, because it made me commit to running a business and being full throttle in, as opposed to it being something that happened to me. And then a few years later, we were growing. We had a great team. We were maybe 5 or 6 people at that time. And our biggest client, who in today's perspective was not that big, went out of business. And they gave me a few months notice and said, hey, this project is not going to continue, and we're just going to wrap up everything that's already booked. And then slowly and surely, we had to unwind the team to make sure we could support this. This was actually at the same time as we got accepted into Society of Digital Agencies, which is this group I'm so proud to be a part of. It's just an incredible group of digital-focused creators. And with them, we've been able to kind of rebuild the business. But the trick is, because it's a really selective society, you have to be nominated by a member, they vote you in, things like that. We went to the first member meeting a few weeks after we got selected, and we're going, holy cow, like, we can't tell people we're 3 people. We can't tell people we're 2 people. Everyone else is running 50 to 100 person agencies. So we just lied for the first year, which never feels great, but we didn't want to get kicked out. And it's funny to think about that now, because I know the community would have reacted completely different than the perception of it because they're so supportive through that. So slowly and surely, we just rebuilt the business the few times we've had to, and the right opportunities have always come through. And I generally find the right opportunities kind of come through out of the blue, through the networks, through the people, through the relationships we have, where we've done right by them, and then they're in a bigger position, a different position, and they remember that we were the ones who went through the trenches with them and made sure we delivered.
Absolutely. I mean, quite a story, I must say. Since you mentioned about team members, there was a rapid expansion from 9 to 21 employees in 12 weeks, right? So how did you manage to maintain, all of that, hiring, doing the finance part of it to maintain, MetaJive's quality and culture? Because, hiring really, kind of fast kind of takes its toll on your overall, let's say company culture, or let's say, people environment.
I'd say both. So I'd say certain things we handled really well, certain things we didn't. So like quality and culture and team, the team rallied behind it. They were so excited to have success. Everyone loves being on a winning team. Everyone is working towards the same goal. And especially for the team members who have been there a long time, they're really happy to see the success and see all the work they have pay off with this new client opportunity. I think things like hiring, onboarding, which have gotten much better, I can say, like, we all of a sudden realized like we need a different level of this. We were lucky to have a lot of groundwork laid, right? Healthcare and benefits and incorporating in states and all that sort of stuff. And so the team rallied behind it. They handled it really well. But there was a point when I looked around and you said, and because that continued to go even beyond that 21, and you looked around and you said, holy crap. The like average retention of employee in this room is like 0.6 years, right? And it takes a year until you even feel settled at a job, till you just know what you're supposed to be doing. And that was a really unsettling moment, but it was also incredible that the team rode through it, and you can see who stepped up and who didn't, and who are the true leaders that impact that. But I think because of that and because of who we are as a team, everyone's making sure that these are people they want to work with, people they care about, people who can contribute and do a good job. And if you're not one of those three things, you're probably not going to work out at MetaJive. Like if you're not really committed to success and competent at your job, the team probably won't embrace you. It doesn't mean we don't train. It doesn't mean we're not inclusive, but it matters. Everyone really cares about their job and digs in here. And I think as well, people want to work with people they want to work with, people they like, people that we can say, what'd you do this weekend? And not get stuff, right? Like people want to be able to have friends. There's people who go play volleyball. There's all sorts of things that matter in relationship and company building, and not a disparate group of people just contributing.
Absolutely. I mean, a company, a team of people kind of, aligned towards not only the company goal, but, towards each other's objectives. It's so crucial to, your success as an organization, right?
Yeah. I think everyone unifying is by far the most rewarding part of this job.
Absolutely. And talking about, your responsibilities now that, you are the CEO, you have been the founder of the company, talk us through your tricks of delegation. I mean, do you do it? If yes, what is your take on it? How do you go about doing this?
So you've seen the GIF of Homer Simpson going back into the bushes. That is a great metaphor, because you can play it backwards too, and Homer Simpson can come out of the bushes. And as soon as I have trust and confidence, which confidence is a much better word than trust, because confidence means I believe you can do it. Trust means I think you're going to regardless. Trust later. As soon as we have confidence that we're going to get the outcome we need, we're going to get the quality of work, we're going to do those things, I'm going to fade out as fast as humanly possible. And when I don't, I will be all over you. And I think that is a really, really interesting paradigm for a lot of people, because even our managers here roll up their sleeves a lot and are doing a lot of work. Our head of production is very close to projects. Our head of production is very technical savvy. It's not just a client relations piece. It's not just about managing spreadsheets. It's actually about the deliverable and what's happening and how we deliver it, because really as a company, we're just the sum of all of the projects we deliver through a year. So when I get into delegation, I would say it's probably not one of my stronger points, but as you scale, you have to let go. And I think the reason it's not one of my stronger points is because I care about outcomes and I care about process and I care about how things get there. And because this is the only job I've ever had and I've done almost every job in this agency, I can do a lot of things really efficiently. Efficiently is not always the best way to do that. So I'm very open when people are telling me like, sure, we can do it this way, but that's not the right way. And I really care about getting the right answer, not being right. And that's something we try to put into the team at MetaJive. So while delegating's really hard to do, it gets easier the longer people are with you. Because the longer you have team, the better retention you have, the more confidence you can have that these people are going to do a great job in it. And
Yeah.
then as soon as I don't have to be involved in task A, I can move on to task B and then
Sure.
make sure it's on there. So I'll often use an analogy of like pushing multiple bobsleds down the track at the same time and then just knowing they're going to come together at the end. So you're jumping between the tracks and you're giving one a nudge and then another a nudge. Maybe faster, maybe slower because, design has to wait for dev or vice versa.
Lovely, lovely. I love that analogy. Lovely. Great. Yeah. So moving on, Dave, at MetaJive, and obviously in your career, you would have worked with quite a few, large scale enterprises, high profile clients that you've collaborated with like Google, Nike, Disney. So how do you kind of, look upon these relationships with these big clients or big brands, and how do you ensure that these become long lasting relationships, and how do you get into these large scale deals? This is a question primarily for our listeners who are probably starting out on their agency front.
Yeah, so I think as an agency, I think when I look at them as relationships, they are exactly the same as every other relationship in the fact that you have to be there for your client, you have to understand the needs, and you have to understand what delivery looks like for them. So we don't treat the world's biggest client better than the next client because, again, all of our massive client relationships have all come from serving people in other states of their relationships and their careers and really focusing on the stakeholders and the outcome. I think how we've gotten into them, I think that answers it is people have come back to us from smaller relationships, from times we've gone through the trenches together to make something and they saw that we cared about it and they saw what happened there. And then I think the other thing I would say is the two things where it is different doing work inside a multinational company is most of them are much slower, not all of them. Google, for instance, works at light speed always, and they're incredible partners. But in most of them, there's a level of bureaucracy, and that level of bureaucracy is actually there for a reason to make sure that things don't rocket ship out the side and they can keep the brand intact, they can keep the tech,
Very true.
they can keep things together. So that's why there is a lot of approvals. I think where it's hard is when you're working with 13 global business units that all see a different value prop for one website you're creating. And just because it's going to be multilingual doesn't mean we don't have to present the company, the brand, the product in the same light. So I think that is the main difference is how do you manage these people and make sure you're managing up better. Once you're working inside, making sure that you're doing what's in your client's best interest and understanding how they're going to sell it up, who has to get approval, and what's going to happen in that case, that is by far the biggest difference.
Lovely, lovely. And Dave, we have been in this AI storm for quite some time now. I mean, not that I'm saying
it's just getting started though, right?
Yeah, true. So it's not even there the way I look at it. So what is your take on it? Where are we heading with all of this?
Where are we heading with it is a wild question, and I think no one knows the answer no matter how long they think about it. I've spent a lot of time trying to skate where the puck is going on this. Where we're going is we're really investing in building digital tools on top of AI. Because ChatGPT, Google, Minstrel, Anthropic, Llama, right? Like these are the 4 or 5 people duking it out to build a real LLM. We have no business being involved in building LLMs. But we should be, for every single one of us, looking at the opportunities, looking for our partners at where we can take these tools, feed it the mountains of knowledge that the team has, that especially these big companies just have everything documented in a way that can be really, really, really valuable, and then work on that. So where we are now is we have these chatbots. Generally, like 90% of AI projects turn out to be a chatbot in some way to figure it out. Where we're going, I think, is twofold. I think one, human assistance is the number one. So we're talking to a hotel right now. They're building a universal chat app so you can talk to the hotel via SMS, via email, via WeChat, WhatsApp, whatever you want. But it's all your conversation and it knows it's all you. So when I ask the concierge where I should go for lunch, it's going to know from previous conversations, hopefully, that I love pizza. Or they ask me, what do you want? It's going to remember that. So next time I say, hey, or they'll have a pizza waiting for me, whatever the right thing is. So it's assisting, giving ideas, giving context, giving things that might be in the CRM, but just like too much effort to look through as you're having a real-time conversation. So I think that's one place that is probably what's going to provide the most value, is the AI having context of your life, your conversations, your everything, and context of the current moment, and then provide you information without you asking for it. That's probably the first next big step. The other is agents, and everyone's talking about agents. And I think there's a lot of people pretending like agents are already here, and they're really like AI on cron jobs and just happen every whatever minute to make something happen and run a prompt as if you're running a query. And I think where that becomes interesting is when AI can both do things for you. So it knows I like to get my Jamba Juice on my way to work on Wednesdays, that it's just going to order it for me, or it's going to ask me if it wants me to order it like on my way. So it knows when I leave the gym that it's going to order me my smoothie for me automatically. Say, hey, Dave, you want your smoothie? Of course. Great. Done. And then when it can start being proactive and say, oh, you have a business trip to New York. You normally like these hotels. This one's available. Or you've never stayed here, but it's half price, or it's twice as nice for the same price as this other place. And as it learns me, will be proactive in booking those things or going through my credit card bill and making sure there's erroneous charges. I think there's a million small tasks. And if you've ever had an EA, there's so much delegation and training and ongoing to get that relationship working. And I think having these agents become more and more capable and be there with us for the rest of our lives is an incredibly exciting opportunity. I think it provides a tremendous amount of uncertainty into the workforce because, like, AWS is a really complicated environment. I was talking about this yesterday. I would actually trust like a really well-trained AWS configuration bot more than most people because it's complex and it's changing all the time, and there's new services, and just saying, hey, you could do this, and just train and optimize and do things for us. And that's a great use case because it's in a framework environment that a lot of people use. So someone could probably make a really great product there. Maybe you.
Absolutely. Great point of view there. So, I mean, yes, it is an enabler for sure. I mean, it was always there, not that, it started with ChatGPT or something. We have been really early adopters of, artificial intelligence and machine learning. The processing of data is so important, right? I mean, like you spoke about, it kind of learns from your behavior, right? So yeah, I mean, I'm totally with you. It's gonna explode further. So it's good to kind of, get in line as soon as possible versus, I mean, sooner than later sort of a thing, right?
Yeah, it feels like last year we were at a 1 and this year we're at a 10.
Yeah.
But like this train's going to 1,000.
True.
Or 10,000 or 100,000 or a million, right? Like there is no end to it. So it feels like so much change from going from 0.1 to 1 to 10, but knowing that in 2 years we might be at 1,000.
Yeah.
And like the whole world is going to be a really different place. And I'm pretty optimistic about it. We've never had a disruption like this in society because, right, like just because we got cars and things, it changed work that was done. But I think this is really synthetic humans and synthetic thinking. And I think there'll be, like any technology, there'll be absolutely amazing things that come out of it, and there'll be absolutely horrific things that come out of it, but we'll manage them. And I put a lot of faith in the country, in humanity as a whole, to just go like, yeah, we'll come together to make sure to do the right thing through this process.
Absolutely. Great point there, Dave. Perfect. Yeah, this has been a great conversation, Dave. But before we let you go, I would like to play a quick rapid fire with you. I hope you're game for it.
I'm game.
All right, your last Google search.
What was my last go? I'm gonna
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm gonna look in my history. I'm gonna be honest with you. My last Google search was about the earthquake yesterday. We had a huge earthquake.
Okay.
And I haven't Googled anything since yesterday.
Okay. All right.
It's all just in Drive and Google Docs and Slacks.
All right. Moving on. What did you do with your first paycheck, Dave? First paycheck of your life.
Well, the first paycheck I ever got, I worked at a snowboard shop so I could get free tickets or cheap tickets and equipment, and I did that. But the first real paycheck I got as an adult, I bought like a 23-inch cinema display, and I was just so excited about that. Like, I still remember that purchase.
All right, lovely. Moving on, where do we find you on Friday evenings after office or after work?
Well, right now it's Friday night light season, so my daughter plays flag football, so you'll find me there, and then we'll get some dinner as a family, and then probably on the couch.
All right, your celebrity crush.
Celebrity crush, Maggie Gyllenhaal. She holds a special spot in my heart.
All right. Okay. What is that one thing, Dave, which you'd want to, kind of change about your agency? Or you feel is really, really weird about, that one thing that is there?
One thing that I would change about MetaJive? I mean, being a maker and builder, there's hundreds of things I want to change. I think the one thing I would change is I would have more people here. And it's not that I don't love the remote team, but I love human connection. And I love when people work together, seeing that magic that you can just kind of feel.
All right, great. Great, Dave. Once again, thank you so much for doing this with us. Really appreciate it. And for audiences, if they want to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Best way is email me. They can just email hello@MetaJive. That's a great way to get in touch with me. Find me on LinkedIn. They'll see I'm really active on LinkedIn. So, which is just my personal one is linkedin.com/MetaJive. And then on basically every other social, I'm Life as Dave.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Cheers, man.
Thanks so much.